Hi, welcome to another episode of Joy Recovery Radio. Glad that you've joined us today, and I'm glad that my beautiful wife is here. We haven't recorded a session together in a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Yeah. Glad you're here.
Me too.
I'm excited about this topic. You know, as we're recording this, summer has officially begun, and so does travel for a lot of people. And we're going to talk about, can we ever go to the beach again? What does it look like to travel? And so in this episode today, we're going to look at 6 lessons learned and a 5-step process that you and I follow when we travel. You know what, though? It is, I don't care where you are in this journey. It's not easy. It's difficult.
There are challenges for sure. I feel like we should have the theme song "School's Out for the Summer," like to do the introduction for this podcast. But instead, I brought my favorite book. It's "Oh, the Places You Will Go."
Well, we have been to some pretty fantastic places post-recovery, post-D-Day.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about how we got to that place. And it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of intentionality, and the betrayed partner and the coupleship needs to be in a good place to even consider that. So if there's been recent relapses, if there's still abusive behavior going on, you're probably not ready to go on a trip. If you are going to try and go on a trip, and especially somewhere like we're going to talk about, our happy place, which is Mexico, a beach type area, then you better have a very dynamic, aggressive safety plan that you work on together.
Going without something, I think the safety plan, it's important to have a safety plan, not just for vacations, but when we're talking about traveling or, couples retreats, I think one thing that we realize is the luxuries that we had prior to discovery.
Yeah.
And just how radical life has changed since. And I often think that a lot of couples forget how much the betrayed partner has lost as a result of sexual infidelity.
A lot of us men complain about what we lose in a very self-centered way.
Yeah.
That I feel like I lost all my freedoms and my privileges, and I'm living in a prison, and she's got all these boundaries, and I've got cameras and GPS, and all I do is recovery work, and I have no life, and I lost all my friends, and blah, blah, blah. But the betrayed partner, the cost to her is absolutely tremendous.
Yeah. So maybe let's start with a moment of gratitude. There's an exercise that Roy and I did early on, and I think that it really helped put things into perspective and show a level of gratitude. And it was a 3-part exercise. As a result of sexual infidelity, I lost the following. And so he filled out that column. As a result of sexual integrity issues, our coupleship lost the following. And that was an exercise we did together. And then lastly, as a result of sexual infidelity, I lost the following, meaning the betrayed partner. And some of those things, I don't think that we really realize how much the betrayed partners give up to be in a relationship with someone who struggles with sexual integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things are movies. PG-rated 13 movies are just not appropriate for some of us. Sporting events, very difficult to go to. School events, birthday parties, weddings can be really hard. I've heard things like a beach vacation or just going to the beach at all. Family events, so reunions, school reunions, and just neighborhood events, water parks. There's a ton of things that are just kind of removed from your activity list that you once wouldn't blink twice of going or participating. But now things have shifted.
Right. And you did nothing wrong. Yet there's all these things that you feel like you're having to give up. And some of the things you shouldn't have to give up. And one of the things that you thought you were having to give up is Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico was something you had enjoyed before our relationship. And then betrayal and infidelity comes in and you're wondering, gosh, am I ever going to get to go again? Are we ever going to go together? And we have figured out a way to go together, but it took a lot of work to get to that place. And it took a lot of planning.
It did. And one thing that I was really confident about is not losing myself in the process. So I remember saying, I'm going to continue to live my life with there's obviously going to be some sacrifices, but I was going to Mexico with the kids for years. And so if you can't meet me in a healthy space, then I'll go by myself.
Right.
And for the betrayed partners, that's okay. Get comfortable with doing things for yourself. I don't feel like if they can't meet us halfway, that means that it's not feasible for us to participate in things that we enjoyed before. So, it's about showing up and growing up. And sometimes that means that we will go and do things by ourselves. And I think that's okay.
Absolutely. And it's important that we men not go into resentment or self-pity over that this is a direct consequence of the choices that we made. And there are some things that, well, let me just put it this way. Every couple is unique and every journey is unique, and comparison is the thief of joy. You do not want to compare yourself to other couples. You don't want to compare your partner, your betrayed partner, to other betrayed partners and begin to say, well, they go on beach vacations. Why can't we go on beach vacations? She is further along than you. You should be further along. And that's not fair. That's not accurate. And it's not apples to apples. Every couple is unique. There are certain things in your coupleship that can be reclaimed. And there are certain things that may never be reclaimed. And that's just a fact. When it came to Mexico, that has become our happy place. I had never been before. And, but that's something that was really important to you. And you were looking forward to us going together. D-Day happened, and then everything was in question. So what we're going to talk about today, let's start with 6 lessons learned that we've learned along the way. And then a 5-step process we follow anytime we go on any trip whatsoever. And we follow this same process for just a lot of events that we go to too. But first lesson learned, and that is after discovery and you do disclosure, it is really important that your betrayed partner understands what is tempting for you. So you share what some call your arousal template. And what that simply means is, these are the things that I find tempting. And the more she knows, the better the two of you can function as a team to minimize temptations for you before you go on a trip like this. So Jacqueline's very aware of what I find tempting, and your partner should be aware. Your partner should know, are there certain outfits that are triggering for you? Are there certain body types? Are there certain hair colors? Are there certain places? Are there certain scenarios? Are there certain smells? Are there certain ethnicities? Are there certain songs? Just whatever. The more she knows, the better she can help protect you. And that can be really scary to be that transparent. But if you're going to navigate trips together and you're going to function as a team, then she needs to know as much as possible about what your arousal template is, what you find tempting.
Well, that's if she wants to know. There are some betrayed partners that is a boundary for them and they don't want to know. In that case, please respect her boundaries. If she's not in a place where she wants to know now or even ever, that's okay. That's her preference, and we're going to respect that.
She's got veto power.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But for me, I wanted to know. And what I did with the arousal template is so I could better understand it. I actually even took it and we compared notes. I think for myself, anytime he's going to take something that's going to provide an assessment for him, for me to truly understand how he's answering it, I take it as well. So I know exactly what's being asked. And me having that sort of knowledge has really helped, I think transform our safety plans, especially when we travel.
Yeah. So a second one that I'll share my perspective and you can share your perspective is that no matter what you do, this is going to be frustrating for both of you. There's some frustrations for me and my role in travel, and there's some frustrations for you. The most overwhelming aspect a lot of times is the airport. That's more overwhelming than anything else, just this sea of humanity. And, the way we function is I'm looking down and she's got to find the gate and she's got to find security and she's got to find ground transportation, and I can't help her. And that's frustrating for me. It shouldn't be that way, but that is reality. And the safest option is for me to just look down and she's going to have to carry a lot of the load at the airport.
But that's something that I'm willing to do.
And you never complain about it.
No, and I don't complain about it. Something else that can also be frustrating is when you start to sacrifice the safety of the coupleship, or you put the coupleship to the test and you venture into uncharted territory. And for an example, one of our kids wants to go to an amusement park, or we want to take one of the kids to the amusement park. I will say the amusement park has probably been the absolute worst adventure. And I'm saying adventure. It was quite an adventure. That was probably one of the hardest trips we've ever gone to. Like, imagine this. I'll paint a scenario. We're at an amusement park. It's during the summer. It wasn't a water park, but it could have been based on what individuals were wearing. And we're there, and I'm having to be his eyes, his ears, also trying to navigate the family through the amusement park, trying to find, where to eat. Where do we enter to go into this ride? Where's the next ride located? We have a map, and we are completely surrounded by so many people. And while one of the safety techniques is to look down, typically what we do is when there's a clear way, I'll say, hey, it's safe, you can look up. I don't remember ever saying, hey, you can look up, it's clear.
Too many people.
It was so saturated with just a lot of sketchy dress attire. It was rough. It was really rough.
What we came out of that was a valuable lesson, and that is no one will protect our coupleship like the two of us will. We were with family that knew about our situation even, but it's not, the onus is not on them to protect you from triggers or me from temptation. They're not thinking, oh, I need to minimize triggers for Jacqueline or temptations for Roy. That's not forefront in their mind like it is for the two of us. And so we can't rely upon others to protect our coupleship. That is our responsibility.
Right.
And imagine when you travel with family that doesn't know about the situation. Imagine the complexity of that.
Yeah. It's okay to say no.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. So, and that's one thing that we've learned is, I don't remember the exact term that we use, but we can't jeopardize the relationship for the sake of
blessing a family member.
Blessing someone else.
Right.
Like, there are other ways that we can bless or do something for a family member.
But if they really want to see this movie, they really want to go to this event, or they really want to go on this trip, but we have to measure, we want to love and serve them, but not at the expense of us.
Because at the end of the day, the consequences, 2 steps forward and 20 steps backwards for an amusement park just isn't worth it.
Right.
And honestly, like, after we left the amusement park, I slept for like 3 days.
You did. You were emotionally exhausted.
I was so exhausted. Yeah. The anxiety level was just through the roof.
It was a valuable lesson learned. We've got to protect our coupleship, and don't let anything come in between that. A fifth lesson learned is that we don't want to put the burden on our partners to come up with a safety plan, to implement a safety plan. That needs to be on us. So ideally, this is what you do. If there is an event coming up and you know it's coming up, whether it's a trip or just an event that you guys are going to be attending, you need to go ahead and come up with the best safety plan that you can and think through every potential thing that might help her feel safe. Then sit down with her and show her, this is what I've come up with. This is a list of things I'm going to do. This is a list of things that I'm not going to do. Here's all the measures that I have thought of that could help provide safety for both of us. Have I left out anything that would add value for you? And that way you're not putting it on her to come up with a plan, nor are you putting it on her to implement the plan. So let's say part of the plan is, I'm going to check in with you 3 times a day just to make sure things are going okay. And then you don't do that. Now she's not feeling safe, not because of something that's happened, but because you failed to follow through on the plan that you said you were going to do. And so now you've actually undermined the whole safety initiative by not following through. So you want to make sure that there's not the kind of dynamic where she's having to be your mom and she's having to hold you accountable for what you said that you would do.
I think another really good one that we have is, I listen to my second brain, my gut, my intuition, and there are times where I'll say, I don't think this is a good idea. So if we're going to go to this event, let's drive separately in case you need to leave. or I don't think that this is something safe for us to go to, or I'll go by myself, I'll take the kids, but listen to your gut. I think that that's something that we try to subside and not listen to, and because we're afraid of hurting someone's feelings or we're afraid of being a disruptor, when if we're not having a good time and if we can't show up for ourselves, we're not able to show up for anyone, and that's okay. Your safety is what's most important. So don't compromise that. Not for yourself, not for anyone. It's not worth it, trust me.
So we've looked at 6 lessons learned so far, just for review. She needs to know exactly how you acted out and what you find tempting. Number 2, it's going to be frustrating for both of you in different ways, no matter what. Number 3, every couple is unique, so there's no playbook for this. Number 4, no one's going to protect your coupleship like the two of you. And number 5, don't put the burden on her. Don't force her to be your mom. And number 6, it's okay for her to change her mind at any moment about anything. Let's look at the 5-step process.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So when we're going on a trip, just by trial and error and me really reading reviews, listening to my intuition, and trying to navigate this safely. I've been to Mexico, I don't know, probably 15 times now, maybe even more. So I know just from experience what resorts are okay, which ones are safe, which ones are not. So ideally, in the back of my mind, I've got this checklist. I am thinking of things like off-season travel. Definitely not going to be going during spring break. So I know off-season is typically like September, October, November. It can also be around the summer months, not when school's out, but maybe once school gets right back in. So I'm really mindful of the when. Second thing I'm really mindful is the where. So when we're talking about where are we going, I've gotten to the habit of I get on social media and I read reviews. I'm also looking at what type of people are interested in this resort. Is this a party resort? Oftentimes, resorts will post their itinerary so you can see what sort of activities that resort is hosting. If they're doing pool parties or film parties, or if there's, masquerade night or something like that, that is typically not going to be your safe resorts. That's going to attract a younger, more rambunctious crowd. So I tend to steer away from that. I'm really looking at social media as to what people are posting. And there's a resort that we've recently found where when I go and I look at the pictures that people are posting, there's essentially no one on the beach. The beach is pretty clear. It's not heavily populated. When I look at the itinerary of events, they have things like arts and crafts, or they have, a tour or a walking tour or a hike. There's not like, pool party at this time, or let's go to masquerade nightclub. A nightclub at the resort is typically indicative of it's a party crowd. Casinos at the resorts, also indicative of party crowd. There are going to be a bunch of resorts that offer, like aquatic exercises or yoga. We just don't attend those. That's just not in our safety plan to attend. Don't hesitate. Call a resort. I've been known to call a resort and say, hey, typically, what sort of crowd do you all attract there? What does a crowd look like? Is this more of a party, resort? Is this more of like a nature or rural resort? Is this more of like a relaxed resort? Roy and I typically gravitate to the resorts that are more rural and smaller.
So what she's describing is the very first step, and that is booking the trip, doing the research, doing the background, and she does all that, all of it. And it's really, because of the nature of the trip, it's necessary. I don't need to be looking at websites of beach resorts. The ads on there, the pictures on there, not going to be safe for me. So what Jacqueline will typically do is narrow it down to 2 or 3 of her top picks. And then she'll show me safe screens of what the room looks like, number of restaurants, details, activities, things like that, so that I can chime in a little bit. But when it comes to doing the actual research, I'm not on social media. I don't need to be looking at any beach resort websites. I don't need to be doing any of that research. So unfortunately, it is necessary that in our context, the trade partner does all of step 1. She does all the research and she actually books the trip. So that's number 1, booking the trip. Number 2, second step in the process is prior to departure, nail down your safety plan and have a safety meeting. And this is what we're going to do at the airport. This is my plan at the resort. This is how I'm going to check in with you. This is how I'm going to continue to do recovery work and stay connected with God during our trip. This is our plan as far as if either one of us are feeling overwhelmed, here's our code word that we're going to use. Just all the details of the safety plan. Man, we need to come up with that. We need to go over it with them. They need to sign off on it. And then we need to make sure that we implement it.
I would like to say one thing. Don't wait until like the day before or a couple days before to practice the safety plan. Don't go on a trip without practicing the safety plan. You are setting yourself up for failure.
So, number 3, we've talked about number 1, booking the trip. Number 2, safety plan. Number 3, navigating the airport if a flight is involved. The airport is tricky. And so a couple of things that we've learned in navigating the airport is there's such a huge number of people usually that I just need to look down. That is the safest option. She feels safest. I feel safest. Our motto is, you know what's easier than having to bounce your eyes? Not having to bounce your eyes. Looking down, not seeing people's shoes. That's not in my arousal template, so I'm pretty safe. And I just see a lot of shoes as I navigate the airport. Now, sometimes you may feel like it's odd to be looking down. And so there's a couple things that you could do so that you have some kind of quote unquote legitimate reason to be looking down. Have your phone, have a Kindle book on your phone and kind of be looking at that while you're walking and looking down. If you travel with a dog, that is a great reason as you're walking the dog through the airport, you need to look down and you need to monitor and keep an eye on your dog. So it's a natural reason to be looking down. There is another some people consider it extreme. I don't know, but there's another measure that we've utilized before, and that is what we jokingly call freedom frames. It gives the freedom for me to go somewhere because I bought these glasses that have the highest magnification possible. We're talking bottle caps. These are some thick suckers. And if you try them on, you'll see for yourself. Jacqueline tried them on. You cannot see further than like 3 feet in front of you. Everything's blurry. You can't even tell the gender of people around you. There's just these blurry blobs. And it can make you dizzy after a while. And you might bump into a few things. But she knows, you both know, there is no objectification going. I could not objectify a person if I tried. So there's some measures like that we have found. Having a book with you is another thing that you can do. If you do have to look up, you have to find a Starbucks or a restroom or find your gate or whatever. Another option that I've done before is I look up and I look above the people because I'm trying to find a sign, bathroom or whatever. And so if you have to look up, intentionally look above the crowd instead of at the crowd.
I will also say, is this something that we're going to have to do forever? I don't know. But what I do know is that I'd much rather travel with someone who's looking down than travel with someone and wondering what he might be thinking about that person, or me feeling overwhelmed, or me feeling insignificant, or me feeling that he's objectifying someone and I don't feel safe.
And never once have I complained about any of these measures because, my gosh, I'm getting to travel with my wife. I'm getting to go to a slice of paradise. How could I possibly complain about having to look down or any of the measures that we're taking here?
Yeah, when you could stay home.
You can stay home. Yeah. Would that be better?
Right. Number 4.
At the resort.
Yes. A couple things that we've learned is we go to meal when not when it's high meal time. So we're not the first ones there for breakfast. We're typically the last ones there. Same thing for lunch. So what we tend to do is we tend to do meal planning around less busy times.
And a ton of room service.
Oh, yeah.
A ton of room service.
And it's awesome because we typically like the all-inclusive resort where it's just easier.
The room service is covered. Yeah.
So that's one that you can do is really think about what time are you going to plan your meals. You stick to the looking down at the resorts. You go to the beach when it's not a busy time or, typically after dinner or the busy times of the beach is afternoon. We like to walk on the beach when the sun is rising. We like to walk on the beach as the sun is setting. You're not going to see a lot of people on the beach trying to get suntanned. So that works for us as well.
Yeah.
What are some other things?
Some other things that The men can do, most rooms come with some kind of safe. Get the remote, have her lock it, and choose the password, put the remote for the TV in the safe, or turn it into the front desk so that you just don't have it.
Just take the batteries out of the remote.
Or that. Don't leave the room alone. Always go together. Um, if the TV's going to be on, you're going to be watching it together.
Yeah.
Room placement is really important.
That's huge. The room. So early on when we first started going, our room was right in front of the pool. And that was not a good setting for us. And unfortunately, we were kind of stuck in that room because other rooms weren't available. So be mindful of where you're booking your room. Garden views are fine. Pool views, I would say no. We can book a resort and get beachfront, and that's been okay for the most part, because I always make sure, like, hey, can we do beachfront? I know the map of the resort, and so I'll request a room in a certain section of the beach, maybe where it's less busy, it's not in the middle. So we've never had an issue where we're beachfront and there's constantly people passing.
Yeah.
So room location, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And then throughout the day, check in. Check in with your partner. How are you doing? You doing okay? Do you need to go to the room for a while? How are things going? And if there was some kind of temptation, just go ahead and talk about it. When we were at breakfast, I was looking into your eyes. We were enjoying a meal. I saw a glimpse of someone over your shoulder in a bathing suit. I looked down. I prayed for them. I did not go into lust or objectification. I never looked at them again. I just want you to know what happened and how I handled that.
If she's taking a chance on going on a vacation with you, it's your time to show up.
Yeah.
So don't wait for her to tell you where to sit. Pick a seat where it's maybe facing the wall. Maybe she is the one person that you can see. Take every opportunity and then some to let her know how grateful that you are that this opportunity exists for your coupleship. Because there's so many people that they have written this off completely. And I hope that this podcast will give some hope to people who might want to venture out and go on vacation together. They just don't feel comfortable. But for a lot of couples, hearing going to the beach, it sounds absolutely asinine. It sounds unrealistic. It sounds like it is never going to happen again. And it can. So if you have the opportunity to show up, not just on vacation, but anytime, it's showing up to her when you guys go to a restaurant locally and you do frequent check-ins and you look down and you're vulnerable. Those are going to get you one step closer to be able to travel together, because traveling can be very triggering, very exhausting, and very stressful in a relationship. But it doesn't have to be.
And it has been such a blessing to our coupleship, to Team Joy, to have a dedicated place that is our place. It's our happy place. And it doesn't have to be a beach resort. It doesn't have to be Mexico. But we are creating new fond memories. And both of us, we've talked about it before, our favorite memories are these trips. We like to have 2 or 3 on the calendar every year. We work hard so that we can go on these trips. And they are such a benefit to our coupleship and our bond. And it's part of the motivation. I have so many things that motivate me to stay on the true and narrow path, and to continue to love and serve you well. This is one of those motivations. I don't want to miss out on this. And it's primarily a credit to you that we're even able to take these trips, because I know even with the dynamic safety plan and all the steps we're talking about, it's not easy for you.
No, not always.
But it's been worth it. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you pushed through, that you have been willing to give me another chance. You've been willing to rebuild trust, build a brand new relationship together that now includes safely going to a place that seems like an alcoholic going to a bar. It seems like this is the most ridiculous, crazy idea that you could possibly do. But it has, a lot of times it's been just as safe as if we're staying home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that us sharing some of our story and strategy around safe traveling will find its way into your coupleship. So please reach out if, if you're planning to go somewhere and you want the name of a resort, or Roy and I've done a lot of traveling actually. And the only reason that we've been able to do that is because we have a solid safety plan. We have a power couple dynamic. We have a shared goal. And really, nothing comes before the coupleship. Nothing. And that's the way I feel it should be.
Mm-hmm. So the fifth and final step in the process is when you get home, debrief. How did it go? What do we need to tweak? What do we need to implement next time we go? So the fresher you can do the debrief, the better. Because if there were some misses, if there were some improvements, that's the time to talk about it. Not 3 months later when you're getting ready for another trip, but right after the trip, like on the Uber home. Talk about how did this go? What could we have done better? Were there any new lessons? Were there any times that you didn't feel safe that we could make a tweak to our plan for next time?
So when you do get home, look at the safety plan, look at your Excel spreadsheet, the Word doc, and then say, hey, this worked for us on this trip. This didn't work for us on this trip, because I promise you, chances are when you go on another trip, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, you're going to forget about some of those really good things that you've learned the hard way. So go ahead, write those down, make a note when you get home, share gratitude towards each other for having, the ability to go on a trip, the ability to celebrate a coupleship. It's all worth it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it takes work to get there. And if your wife, if your partner, if she's saying, I'm not ready, then there's something missing in what you're doing to provide her that safety. So, and for the ladies, it's okay to go by yourself as well. If he can't show up for you and make you feel safe, don't deprive yourself. You got one life.
And don't feel pressured. Don't feel pathologized if he's saying, why can't we be like so-and-so? Why can't we go? Men, don't take this episode and weaponize it. So many of our episodes could be weaponized, and I find myself giving that disclaimer a lot. Don't take this episode, have your partner listen to it, and give her pressure. When are we going to travel? When are we going to do this?
When you're safe.
Yeah.
That's when.
If you go a consistent, good period of time with no acting out and no abusive behavior, then, oh, the places that you could go.
Have you ever read this book?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
In a galaxy far, far away.
It's a good one.
Well, thanks for joining us for this episode of Joy Recovery Radio. Choose joy. We'll see you next time.
See you
Thanks.
guys.